Welcome to today's lesson on Pythagorean relationship. If you recall, we have learned in class that a squared plus b squared, yes, equals c squared. You've noticed I put a triangle at the bottom of the page to label each of those sides. Now think for a second. What do we call the longest side on this triangle? Are you thinking? I hope you have said to yourself, it's the hypotenuse. Now you see we have a problem here in which we can apply the Pythagorean relationship. We are given a squared and b squared. We must now figure out the value of c. We are going to use the Pythagorean relationship to help us with that. We substitute in the values for a, 6, and b, 8, to help us find the unknown, which is c. When we square 6, we get 36. When we square 8, we get 64. We know that when we add those two numbers together, we will get our missing side. So we get 100. But remember, we've already squared them. So that is the value of c. But we have to find the number that we would square that with. So we know that 100 equals 100, but we have to find the square root of 100 to give us the value of c, because c squared is 100. So we know that the value of c is 10. So to recap, we squared our side lengths, we added them together, and then found the square root. So we look at our example here that tells us that the hypotenuse, say that with me, friends, hypotenuse is 10. To check your answer for reasonableness, we check to make sure that it is the largest of the three sides, and it is, and it's not significantly larger. If we would have left it as 100, hopefully at this point we would have realized that that would be too large. Now we have a question in which we are given a square and they've given us the diagonal measurement. The question here asks us to calculate the side length of the square. We must round our answer to the nearest tenth. How are we going to do that? Well, first thing we notice is that if we trace along this and the two side lengths, what have we formed? A right triangle. So how can I use that now? I know the longest side of the triangle, called the hypotenuse. Now I need to find the two legs. Other information from this picture I can generate is that those two legs, because it's a square, must equal the same amount. So let's turn our attention now to this question. We are going to use the Pythagorean relationship to help us determine the side length. So, to recall, we use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now this one is different from our previous question because c squared is what we know. 40 squared is the hypotenuse. We must find a squared and b squared. So let's calculate the right-hand side of our equation. 40 squared equals 1,600. We still do not know what a squared and b squared are. But now we have to ask ourselves what number adds to itself to get 1,600. And we hopefully can determine that 800 plus 800 is 1,600. Remembering that this is a square, that's why those two numbers are the same in this triangle. So once we've squared both sides, this is what our relationship should look like. So if I find the square root of this side, I get back to my original measurement of 40. If I find the square root of these two numbers, that should tell me the side length of my square. And the square root of 800, oh, just give me a second, I'm doing it in my head right now. 28.28, I believe. So I round that to the nearest tenth, and I get 28.3. So 28.3 squared. Though I'm having trouble with my numbers. If I square both of those and add them, they should equal the same as 40 squared. So, we have been able to find the side length, this time given the hypotenuse, because we knew that a squared and b squared had to be the same length because of the square.